My name is Matthew Moore, and this is for the Fundamentals of Speech online at Lubbock Community College. Do you know what to do if you're going down the road and all of a sudden get a flat tire? Chances are you don't know exactly what to do, and anything you thought you might have known went out the window when you ended up on the side of the road in a panic. Today I'd like to teach you the right and the safe way to change a tire. It may seem like one of those things that you figure it out when you need to know it, and it kind of comes to you and it's easy. But that's not really true. It's one of those things that there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and you don't want to do it the wrong way. You always want to do it the right way because you're already in an emergency situation. You don't want to make things worse. Safety is always going to be a number one concern. So immediately once you realize something's not right with your vehicle, go ahead and flip your hazards on, let the vehicles around you know what's going on. Start immediately looking for a safe place to pull over. You want to avoid places like bridges or narrow roadways because it's hard for traffic to pass and it's not safe for anybody. Look for a wide shoulder, or if there's one close enough, like a gas station or somewhere you can pull off. Once you found a safe place to pull over, go ahead and do so. Set your parking brake immediately because you don't want your vehicle rolling around when you're trying to work on it. When you go to exit your vehicle, make sure you check your mirrors before you do so. You don't want to open your door right into an oncoming car. Safety, again, always be thinking, using your head because you're in a dangerous situation. If you have in your vehicle, it's not a bad idea to keep glow sticks or like road flares. If it's nighttime, light them, put them on the back of your vehicle in the road so people can see you and they can get over in time and not have any issues. Once you have done that, you might want to consult your owner's manual. If you haven't, if you have no idea where your equipment is in your vehicle, you can find it in your owner's manual. If you do know where it's at, and it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with it before you get into the situation, go ahead and locate all of that equipment, pull it out of your vehicle, and get ready to go to work. It's always a good idea, like I said, to know ahead of time where this stuff is, because if you're in this situation, you're already in a bad situation and you don't want to make things worse. You want to be able to get out of there as soon as possible. So knowing where your car's jack is, where your lug wrench is, stuff like that is always important. So today, obviously I'm in a garage, I'm not on the side of the road, but I'll be using a jack. I'll be using just a socket and a breakover bar instead of a lug wrench. It's a little bit easier when you're in the garage to do, but if you need to on the road, your car will have a provided lug wrench. I'm going to switch over to my vehicle and actually show you how to take off the tire. Now that you're at this point, hopefully you've done all the steps I've talked about up to this point, but I'd like to reiterate, before you start doing anything, always make sure that your parking brake is on, and if your vehicle is like older, doesn't have a parking brake for whatever reason, it's a good idea to keep some form of blocks, wood blocks, really anything you can stick behind the rear tire in the front and back to make sure it doesn't roll forward or backward on you, because that's the last thing you want to happen in this situation. You also want to be wary of depending on the tire that you're changing. For me, I'm doing my driver's side front tire, so that would mean that the road would be directly next to me. So I want to keep that in my mind, make sure that I don't back up all of a sudden, take a step back into oncoming traffic. Just stuff like that, always be using your head. Once we get to this point, we're going to go ahead and loosen each of the lug nuts on here before we get it in the air, because a lot of times they'll be so tight on there, have been on there for so long that they'll break all of a sudden, and you don't want a sudden movement when it's up on the jack because it could slip off. So just in general, you want to make sure that they're loose when you get it up so you don't have any problems. Some vehicles will have a hubcap on them. Mine doesn't, so my lug nuts are exposed, but if yours does, there should be a little slit where you can stick a flathead screwdriver or something like that in there and pop it off, and then your lug nuts will be exposed. So real quick, I'm going to go through and make sure all of these are loose. On here. Once you've kind of got them broken to where you're not having any problem turning them the rest of the way, you can go ahead and get ready to jack it up. For time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and jack up the car off camera, and then I'll be right back. All right, so now I have the car jacked up. The tire can move freely off the ground. I have my jack right back there, and at the point where the jack actually makes contact with the car, I have a 2x4. This kind of softens the blow a little bit. It also makes it to where you don't have to jack as high, which is kind of nice. You want to be careful when you're jacking something up that you know where points that you can and can't place it are. Things like oil pans will get crushed. Other components of your car can get damaged if you do it on them, so you want to make sure you find, in my case, I found a beam that goes down the side of my car that works just fine. I ran that 2x4 along that beam, kind of get a little more points of contact on it. I went ahead and jacked it up all the way. You want to be careful when you're doing that. Once you have a car jacked up, always be careful. Never put your body under the car, ever, for any reason. When you're on the side of the road, you never want to be doing that. Keep your hands out from under stuff as much as you possibly can. When you're taking the tire off and stuff, obviously you have to be under it a little bit. But as much as you can, you do not want to be under there. So once we get to this point, we can go ahead and take our lug nuts off, which are already loosened, so you want to go ahead and completely take them off. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off right here, since it's loose, then I'm going to go in a star pattern, and we'll get this a little bit later when we put the tire back on, but it's very important that you go from here, there, 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 and there, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Take all these off for us. And with this last one, a lot of times, well, some cars will have problems with this last one. When you take it off, the tire will want to slip off. So you kind of want to get a hand there, hold it, make sure it doesn't fall on you or anything. And then once this is off, you have all your lug nuts off, the tire's ready to come off. Sometimes it's been on there so long and just kind of gets stuck on there. So you might want to give it a kick or something, not too hard, to make sure it's kind of coming off. This one seems like it's going to fine. Put a hand right here, and I like to put one in the back. Just go ahead and pull it. And your tire will come right off, and you can set it to the side. With where my jack is right now, it wouldn't be the best to do, but whenever you get a tire off, you can take it and slide it under the car right there. If you jack it up from the front, it's a good idea to put it under there, slide it under there just in case something would happen to your jack and when you come down, you have another layer of security. Because like I said, safety is always your number one concern when doing these things. So now that we are here, you have your tire off. You want to go get your spare. In my case, I'm just going to put this tire back on because obviously there's nothing wrong with it. But a lot of times, this is also good if you're doing any kind of brake work or anything. This is how you get there. It's a good thing to know. But actually, before I do that, I'm going to take a look at my brakes real quick. Just kind of check them, and then I'll be right back, and I'll put the tire back on and show you guys how to put the lug nuts back on. Okay, so now that I've done everything that I want to do under here, and I'm ready to put the tire back on, for you putting a spare back on, in my case, I'm just putting my tire back on because there's nothing wrong with it. You want to go ahead and roll it up, get it even here, and then you're going to have to line up where these bolts come out right here, and obviously the holes on the actual tire. So you want to lift it up. It can kind of be a little bit tricky to get lined up. But once you get them on, it'll slide on there, and you'll see that they will stick back through the holes, and you're ready to put your lug nuts back on. Now, when you're putting the lug nuts back on, the biggest thing is star pattern, like I mentioned earlier. That is, you can kind of get away with not doing it when you're taking it off, but when you're putting it back on, it's absolutely necessary because the last thing you want is for one side of this to be tighter than the other. Using the star pattern ensures that it's evenly tightened around the whole wheel because you get wobbling and it'll just cause more problems on the road. Literally down the road, and that's not what you want. So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and start right here. Get that one started. And go up here. Start that one. Bring it back down here. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up a little bit. Okay, so now that you went through and you've gotten all of your lug nuts back on there and got them tightened snugly, you don't want them to be too tight, just kind of get them to where they kind of stopped, where you can't turn them freely anymore. And then you want to come over to your jack. If you're using a hydraulic jack, take this out, go to where you release it, and you want to release the pressure really slowly. You don't want it to drop all at once, you want it to kind of glide down. Now like that, get it to the bottom, let it out, and then now that the car is down, all the pressure is back on the tire, we're going to come through and we're going to tighten the lug nuts all the way down, again in that star pattern so it's evenly tightened throughout the entire thing. For here, start there. And there you go, you've changed the tire. Now once you get done with that, go through, take a look at it, use your head, figure out does something look wrong. If it does, run through things and make sure you didn't make a mistake. I mean, just common sense, kind of look at it compared to the other tires and make sure that it looks the same. But that's pretty much it. You've changed your tire. Hopefully this will come in handy. Well, hopefully you never have to use it, but if you do, hopefully this will come in handy and will help you get out of a dangerous situation. So.